Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be addressing some things on my beautiful 1975 Yamaha XS right here that, well, as you can see, it's still partially taken apart. And on top of that, we're going to talk about some of the other motorcycles in the collection, why you haven't seen them for a while, and what I kind of plan to do with some of them. So in the last video when we worked on the XS, we were going through the carburetors. This bike had some trouble and I never put back the air boots on the bike, and before I lose them, I want to put it all back together. These carbs are currently out of sync, so we're going to have to sync them with each other at some point, and that'll be a winter project for the machine, but in the meantime, I'm going to put all those air boots back together. While we're in the shop here picking up the pieces I need, let's go through the bikes that have had some change in plans. Now in the last update video, we talked about this bike right here, and I told you guys I didn't want to show you it, but remember I've actually shown you guys the bike before. This is a 1992 Ducati 907. I've had the bike for a long time, and it's been sitting on the table for a long time, mainly because we've been so busy we haven't touched any of their projects, but I have had some trouble getting some parts for this machine. It's a much more scarce Ducati product. There's not a whole lot of them out there, and the Passos tend to have their own parts. This isn't a 750 Passo, but this is a 907 which came later. We'll talk about all the history with the machine and everything when we actually go through the bike and get the video out. Backing it up right here, we have my Yamaha RD350. I know people want to see an update video on this bike. Again, I haven't touched any of my projects simply because this is the end of the year, a very busy time of year, and the Ducati is on the table, so I just haven't wanted to do anything with it. I was so excited to do something with the RD, then I bought the T140, which is tucked back there as well, and I haven't touched the RD. The bike is leaking and needs its fuel tank redone after I redid it. It's not behaving like I want it to, and well, there's a whole bunch of things. When the Ducati is done at some point in this winter, it's gonna get some major refreshing. Now, I've said this before, 2025 springtime, I will have mostly all of the projects running ready to go, and whatever I don't, I'm gonna be selling, because honestly, if I can't do it in this dead season coming up, I'm never gonna get to it. Now, that does mean I might pay someone to do some of these things and outsource some of the things to get the process going. One of the things I will outsource are the CBX carburetors. I don't want to be taking the carbs on and off multiple times. There are professionals who can clean and redo those carbs because that is all they do and they know what they're doing. Not to say that I couldn't do it, but it'd probably take me multiple tries. For those who do not know CBXs, there's 6 carburetors and you gotta drop the motor to take the carbs off. There's 1 Goldwing, 2 Goldwing, CB400, the BSA, which is, well, I was hoping it'd be gone, but it's not. Virago Cafe Project, which will be the very last thing we do. We got the CB750 back there, another Virago, a CX tucked into the weight corner, a TW right there, and of course a CBX. Not much has changed since last time. We did an update video with the RD and all of those bikes are still sitting as they were. Other than the TW, which is new. That wasn't there before. But also, we got the T140, the T140 Bonneville tucked into its hiding spot for now. I'm looking around right now. Every bike short of a CB750 and possibly a CB400 I want to have done. If I don't get the Goldwings done, I will sell one of the Goldwings. I'd really like to keep one, and maybe I outsource the carburetor work to someone else. I pay a little bit, and the profits I get from the second bike I put into the first bike. Ideally, I'd like to have both of them running together and be really nice, and then road trip both of them. I don't want to have a ton of projects that I'm not getting done, especially 2 bikes that are the same. Sometimes I do that where I buy a bike or I look at a bike or I get some parts for a bike even though I'm not going to touch it for a very long time, just to have it. Alright, that's enough yapping. Let's go to the other garage, talk about the other bikes, and put the XS back together. So, as you can see here, this is how it's supposed to go back together. I know I need new air filters. I will buy some new ones, but for now, I just want to put it back together. So this is how this whole side is supposed to go back. And if you see, the other side is sitting open right here, and plus there's 2 covers, and those 2 covers need to go over this. So we got a couple of screws. We gotta make sure these are the right ways. So there's this tab here. So we've got to get underneath the seat, flip it up, and there's actually an access port above the seat that I need to make sure the bolts are in and they're not. And I suppose while we put it together, we can talk about some plans with this bike right here. So this bike is a very low mile, very nice Survivor XS. This bike has never been restored. All of the things you see here are how it came off the showroom. The reason I bought it is because of the condition it was in. Not only that, but my dad also used to have a few Yamaha XS500Bs or 550s, I forget what they were. Those bikes I had always been around, and I didn't really know too much about them. And I actually ended up selling those bikes a few years back. I sold them because they had appreciated quite a bit. They went up and I sold them at the perfect peak. And the XS in the last couple years has softened a lot in the market. The motorcycle market's bottom kind of fell out, so great time to buy. That's why you see me picking up so many bikes right now. You know, I am a little dumb and impulsive with the purchases I make, but all of them I can reason somehow. So you actually have to join the other box before you put the filter in. Oops, I would have known that if I put it back right away. So this bolt and that bolt, those two are responsible for the top of the box here. So a debate that I love having is the Honda versus Yamaha debate on certain manufacturing and engineering things. Even though this Yamaha carburetor intake setup might be a little more time consuming to take apart, it is so much better than those CB750 boots, because when you have a whole box that doesn't come apart with 4 carburetors and old boots, even new boots, they are so frustrating to take out and put back in. If Honda put this setup on those 4 cylinders, oh man, they would be so much easier to service. And a final piece to the puzzle, and my favorite part about the Yamaha, metal side covers. And on top of that, the side covers have hooks on top of them instead of pull tabs. Now for an update on the other bikes. A couple of bikes you guys have been wondering about, whatever. The Gold Star currently just parked here. That bike is going to, at some point, get a little bit of a look through, once over, servicing, all the 9 yards, because it's been sitting. We don't know how long it's been sitting for. It's leaking more oil than it's supposed to be leaking from certain places, so it's gonna get a once over. It's going to get some modifications. I'll keep that term loose, but it's gonna get a couple things, a couple of OEM bits put back on it, correct carburetor put back on it, all of those things like that. But that's not gonna happen for quite some time. That bike I didn't necessarily buy to make a ton of content with, even though we will get content with. I don't buy any of the bikes particularly to make content with. It's kind of a bonus thing that I do. I would have bought most of, not all of the bikes, regardless if I was making content on them or not. It's a bike that will get content with, but I'm not in a huge rush to put out a ton of videos with that machine. It's actually going to sit in storage, a heated, climate-controlled space that I can observe it the entirety of the winter. And come springtime, I think I'm gonna have just a professional go over it. And a bike you guys haven't seen for a long time is actually with him right now, the Ariel Square 4. We went over a little bit of an update with the bike. I'm gonna tell the whole story. There's been a little bit of drama associated with that bike, and we've had to, unfortunately, give it to a second person to finish the restoration and revival of that machine. Things happen, I suppose, and it is what it is. If you guys are wondering and looking at that bike, that's not my bike. That's not a new bike, but it is a bike we will make a video on, and it's been sitting for a long time. The CB450 back there is another one of those bikes that I want to get to. It's a 2025 project, but that is not one of the bikes that I'm trying to get through before springtime. That might be a bike that we do during the summertime. It really doesn't need that much. I just need to get some time, get some space, and properly allocate a week to the bike at the most. For those who aren't or haven't been following the channel, I've bought at least one motorcycle every month. And I'm not saying 12 motorcycles in the whole year. Like legitimately every single month, individual month, I bought at least one bike. And November, I haven't really got anything. There hasn't really been anything that catches my eye. The other bikes that I kind of am interested in, well, I'm still trying to negotiate and make some offers and all of that stuff as you do. But nothing's really worked out in the month of November, so I'm gonna count this one as one because it's taking up a garage spot. So it might not look like it, but the bike has been secured. It's back there. It is a 82, I believe, DR80. It's a 4-stroke. We've heard the bike kind of run. I'll give you guys a little bit of a run over when we get home and take it off the trailer. Now, usually with an older bike that's been sitting for a while, they usually just need a carb clean. This bike might not be getting fuel. It might not have spark. Not really too sure. Right now, what I'm gonna do is spray a little bit of starting fluid into there and see if it even does anything, whether we have spark or anything. We just tried taking the carb off because it's really simple and it didn't work. It is a 4-stroke machine. Not a 2-stroke. Would have been cooler if it was a 2-stroke. I would care a little bit more about it if it was a 2-stroke. Of course, with this bike, I have no idea what the plan is. Maybe we get it running, maybe we get it riding, maybe we sell it. I have little to no clue. So if I just spray a little bit of fluid into the carburetor right here, even though it looks like it misses it, it should do something. Well, there you go. Turned over, turned on for a second there. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought it was. This bike's been sitting for years on end. Who really knows? But don't really know what I want to do with it. I think it might need a new carburetor, might need new jets. Not really 100% too sure. I tried going through the carb once. My friend would try going through the carb once. And then we tried going through it together one time as well. So maybe it's not a carb issue. Maybe it's a fueling issue. I really have no idea. And as far as the rest of them go, we have the Hornet, the R69, RC51, 750s, 550, Hawk, and a BSA tucked back there. And, well, this is where the XS will probably live as well. On the other side of the Hornet there, just a nice, warm, quiet, undisturbed place for all of the running bikes that have been winterized to just park and stay out of the way from all of the projects. With all of that being said, that's all I have for this video. Little update on the XS, update on the bikes, final update of the year, and, well, in the future, we'll get into a little bit more action and working on the bikes sooner than later. All of that being said, that's all I have, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy, of course.